Okay, so I'm Mary here. We're taking a train through Portlandia, and I wanted to talk about the ultra-black market drama behind the WikiLeaks scene and what we can do to fix it, and or maybe you just want to know because you like gossip. So, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Basically, last night, Göran Rödling in Sweden, the Swedish rape law expert and rape law activist, he sent out his blog, and it basically profiles Rick Stepp, it profiles Israel Shamir and Marcelo Ferrada-Danoli, as well as Mark Stevens, Julian's lawyer. And I'm really concerned right now that Julian isn't getting the best possible defense, and I feel really concerned that some members of his defense team are allowing really shoddy journalism to be employed in his defense website. So I see this as something that is very damaging to his future, and it has been damaging, and I've been writing about letters about this and publicly publishing them openly, lest someone not receive them or kind of brush them under the rug, because I want it to be very clear that people are feeling this who study the law and are very concerned about the law. And what I found is really interesting in Sweden was that Göran Rödling shares some feelings that I do about this employment of shoddy journalism and misogynistic attitudes in some of the websites that are used to pad the case with Julian's website, Sweden versus Assange or Justice for Assange, which is mirror duplicate. But what's troublesome about that is also that Al Burke, a wonderful historian and sociologist who's gone in Russia today to help Julian Assange and describe his situation, has been threatened with intimidating coercional letters to him demanding that he remove his retranslation of the mistranslated police report, and this is a copyright allegation by Rick Stepp. So who is Rick Stepp? I don't know. His name is Rick Downs. He has possibly some bad background or something, which I don't really hold against him. But what I feel is that right now Julian needs more support of the diversity of voices from across every kind of boundary. People in the LGBT community, people who hold a wide variety of viewpoints that could be described as feminist. And one of the problems I find in his friends' portrayal of feminism in Sweden is, for one thing, they lump it into something like it's a bad thing, and they call it state-feminism, and they have this kind of fury towards it. But they don't really differentiate the many different kinds of controversies that actually occur within feminism in Sweden. And feminism there is something that is more commonly understood to be fairness to all humans. So in that context, nobody is not a feminist other than the anti-feminist. So it's, I don't know, endlessly kind of confusing for an outsider, because you can't really understand what's going on in this society. What I found last night too is that the pedophilia rings and the human trafficking rings in Sweden are still very severe. So what I'm concerned also for are the women of Sweden who are currently being abused in prostitution rings and human trafficking rings, that they are being hurt by the erroneous allegations of some of the extreme Assange defenders who think that they can help Assange by saying that the feminists are out to get him, or Sweden is controlled by totalitarian feminism or feminist fascists, which is really not true, because not enough is being done to help these women who are being run into Sweden. Like some Lithuanian women were just liberated in a crack on a sex trafficking ring, and that sort of obliviousness to their plight is an issue of justice. And I think with someone like me who supports justice for Julian Assange, I also support justice for the women of Sweden who are trafficked, as well as the women in the larger European community in Africa and Asia, etc. So I support a global perspective towards justice and equality, and I think that some of the enthusiasm with which WikiLeaks has been met with, the WikiLeaks advocates, they are jumping the gun on things that would violate the American rape shield law norms, which include calling out the victim's name or the accuser's names and damaging them, writing very salacious articles about them. And I think I realized just as much as I have a duty of justice towards the women of Sweden, towards the women of the future, towards young teen women, I also have a duty of justice to these women who were originally engaged in consensual activity with Julian Assange, and that their consensual activity, if it led to something that was non-consensual, like we actually needed a cohesive, integrated integrated look at consent law, because if there were a mistranslation of the language of differing jurisdictional laws, I was even thinking, why not have a WikiLeaks gender equity office that would propose digitization of all the many variegated jurisdictions. So as we become more increasingly mobilized in the future, we would have more understanding of human rights in the international perspective, because you're basically hopping from jurisdictional pool to another, and I think it can throw things into a lot of confusion when you have linguistical differences and cultural differences. But the basic idea that women's identity should be protected, victims should be protected, sex trafficking victims should be protected, as well as people from malicious, unfair prosecution. I think that's very important. So that's basically just the tip of the iceberg on some of the latest WikiLeaks drama, but I'm writing letters to Sweden versus Assange occasionally when I've had too much. I've been called a troll, I've been called effing stupid, I've been called, are you ridiculous, and like a lot of poking at me on Twitter, and I've been called a fifth column, which means like a subversive agent within the WikiLeaks block. And what I find really interesting about that is that the divisiveness within the WikiLeaks community, I think, is partially due to how nervous people are getting about the future of Julian Assange. Nobody wants to see him in Guantanamo. Nobody wants to see him tortured like victims of Abu Ghraib. And so this picking on each other, I think, really has to stop, and the community needs to work together for human rights for all, and making kind of vast generalizations that are injurious to the future equality of women, I think, is not a good step. So I hope WikiLeaks will stay on track with gender equity, and I think there will have to be a part 2 of all the WikiLeaks internal drama, because there's another chapter for sure.